And yes, I have confirmation. Shameless, he never played Wings of Liberty, which makes sense. Like Shameless, he's like 17 or 18 years old. So Shameless, he also never played Wings of Liberty before. Most of these players actually, I guess. So Nicorect, Shameless, and Jumy, they didn't play, or played very little, at least for Jumy. Likewise, Mixu as well. Mixu, he barely played Wings of Liberty as well. All these kids. They don't know what they're stumbling into. Like, even Jumy had no idea what this map was. And here we go. Spawning in the top... Crazy. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Shakura's Plateau, we have the German Protoss player. We have the green Protoss. Representing Streamer Zone, it is Jumy. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. Cross spawn. Yeah. Yeah, these zoomers, they don't know, papi. It's only cross spawn. And again, Shameless and Jumy, they've never played on this map before, so they have no idea. So they think it's a 4-player map. Really, it's cross spawn. Keck W. Keck W. To be fair, I didn't know either. Did not know. For now, we are going to be settling in. God damn it. They're babies, papi. They're babies. Or at least they were. They were back in Wings of Liberty. We're all so old now. We're so old. All these people talking about wings in the chat. Then we have Jumy and Shameless. They're like, what are you guys on about, mate? What are you... I didn't play until Legacy of the Void. Smooch. Shameless is scouting. we're scouting for the base locations. We're checking to see where we are. Let's go. As Jumy is going Gate Cyber into, I would imagine, Nexus. We'll see if we commit into a second gateway or into a robo. Shameless is coming in with his probe scouts. Does move in. Yo, the base layouts here are crazy, by the way. What do we have? We have our natural, which is relatively secure. The main base is huge, by the way. It's a massive main. So we can, of course, blink in if we go into 4-gate blink or if we go into any kind of blink-based play. Third base here is likewise interesting, is to say the least. Jesus, what's... We have, like, cliffs that can go in towards the third. Of course, we have the bottom corner of the map. We have this centralized location, which is like a pseudo island where you have to knock down these rocks to actually expand. Likewise, Reaper cliffs. You can set up siege locations here on the other side. We have the Zelnaga that sees the expansion. That is something that we don't have anymore. This is something that was phased out. Is Zelnagas this close to your bases, where if you have control, you see everything. That's crazy. Like that is not a thing nowadays. Shameless, he still has yet to confirm. Maybe he spot the units. Jumy just now scouting. Shameless, he checked top right, checked bottom left. But I'm sure he saw the initial units. I just don't think about how Ewa is barely older than Wings of Liberty. No shot. Ewa, he was in the womb. He was... Was he like 1 year old when Wings came out? Hey. No shot. Ewa. Meanwhile, speaking of our openers, we have Jumy on one base. Oh my god, going for a bay before expanding. One base all in. One base all in. Likewise, Shameless staying on one base as well. Getting up to 3 gates on a robo. No expansions from either player. But Jumy is rushing into Colossus. Colossus on the way. Does take over the center of the map. Yo, imagine getting into a 4-player map, having cross spawns, and then playing one base. It's crazy. And more along the way for Shameless. Colossus for Jumy. Setting up. And we'll see if our players eventually expand, or if we just commit to a one base all in. Based on the move out, based on the probe as well, looks like it is going to be the one base all in. As Shameless is pushing, setting up for a proxy to reinforce. Jumy likewise moves out. He gets spotted by the Zelnaga. Jumy going to be fighting here without his Colossus. Uh-oh. Has to back up. Catches one Stalker and a probe. Stalker barely escapes. Here comes a proxy. Colossus has arrived. Has to be very careful here. Jumy being forced back, catches another Stalker. And again, this is a version of the game where you do not need a gateway to reinforce. Those are very fast warp ins. Jesus. You can warp in real fast, real quick. Jumy has the high ground. Shameless going for his own bay. His own Colossus. Shameless even. So we are setting up. Pushing up this ramp is going to be difficult here, so Jumy can expand, so can Shameless. We can set into a longer game. Yo, these observers look so quaint. Let's go. The observer does get away. Of course, for those that are unaware, in modern StarCraft, the observers are bigger. They actually got larger, so they're easier to spot and easier to snipe as well. No. We know, Pappy. Jumy, he expands! Takes the natural. Takes the natural base. Shameless, do we also expand? Are we forced to macro? We are. He backs off. Yeah, there's no pushing up this ramp. We have 3 Colossus already for Jumy. That's crazy. He's got his triple Colossus moving out. Does move out. Knocks down the pylon. Shameless setting up on the high ground. Jumy moving in. And despite the high ground advantage here, I mean, there's no shield battery. There's very little defensive setup here. The Colossus, they don't care about your high ground. 4th Colossus has arrived. Let's go. Oh. Get the Stalker. Jumy moving in. Again, he has an overwhelming army. Oh no, the Colossus! They're getting caught out! Oh, and Jumy, he should barely not get it. Colossus does get away. The cliff face. I love this. This is great. The Colossus, they're having fun. They can walk over everything. Let's go. So I'll say warp straight into the main. Again, the high ground warp in, true. They warp into the main base. Who needs a warp prism when you have high ground warp ins? Pylon is scattered. Jumy pulling back. Shameless still stuck on one base economy. There's no reason for Jumy to push in. He can just chill. He can just chill on two bases, can saturate, throwing down extra gateways, forge for +1. Jumy getting further ahead, and Shameless, he's in a very rough position here, still refusing to expand. Still does refuse. So the prism has arrived. Pylon gets rebuilt. He's going for another high ground warp in. Man, this is disgusting. Oh my god. Absolutely disgusting. Oh, brutal move commando. Yeah, big swipes going off. First Colossus does not go down. The juggling. The micro. Shameless, he commits. One Colossus does fall. That's 5 Colossus for Jumy. Jesus. Of course they pop up. One Colossus goes down. But the laser show. That's all you need. And Jumy, he will overwhelm. He should overwhelm this. Better economy, larger army. Immortal drops in. GG gets called, and Jumy will take game at number 1. Whew, GG. GG will play. Jumy will take a lead in the series. Playing StarCraft. Also, cross spawns Pappy. Wasn't 4-player. Letting Jumy know. Jumy. Oh, Jumy letting us know he started playing StarCraft in 2021? May. Oh my god. He's a baby, Pappy. That what was 2021? That was what? Even post-COVID era of StarCraft? Jesus. Crazy. So we're getting into game 2. No, yeah, before. 2011. Okay. Alright, here we go. We're getting into our next game. Getting into game number 2. Ooh, looks like Mixu versus Geralt is beginning. I would have loved to have gotten into it. I think Mixu versus Geralt is going to be really good. It's going to be really fun. So best of luck. Regardless, we have our series. We have our match. We're loading into game number 2. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Ohana, we have the blue Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the German Protoss player leading the series 1-0, representing Streamer Zone. It is Jumy. This time, 2-player spawn maps, so there's no there's no guessing as to where our players are spawning in. It's not ambiguous here as to where we are. And we'll see if we actually take a natural, Shameless. We'll see if we actually expand. Now we're settling into our initial openers. Oh, Shameless sneaking into the main. Let's go. The pylon has in place, and we are setting up a proxy in the main of Jumy. Oh, it's going to be a short one. Going for the proxy, pylon into gateways. Jumy, for the time being, is unaware, setting up in his own main. And here comes that gate. Here comes that 2-gate even. Okay, proxy 2-gate. The probe barely... Oh my god. The probe barely does not scout, does not know. Jumy's in the dark. He doesn't see. Checks the natural. Checks the natural, believes he's safe. Checks the third location. Looking for proxies. And he does check the main. Does check the main base. He spots the pylon. But can he stop it? Can he stop it here? Second probe being sent out. We have a second pylon here for Shameless. Zealot's being chronoed as we speak. This first Zealot is going to pull back first. And the pylon is taking a lot of hits, a lot of damage. There's that double chrono though. Despite the initial Zealot advantage that Jumy's going to have, he's going to be overwhelmed. As Shameless is making pure Zealots. No gases behind this. No Cybercore. Zealot pops up. Forces back the army. Jumy being pinned into his main. And into the main base. Up. Building up more Zealots. And again, Shameless, he is going to be up that one Zealot. And Jumy may just not have enough here. Probe's going down. 4 Zealots bust in. And Jumy, he's in a lot of trouble here. He just cannot keep up. Mining gas. I mean, the gas isn't really a factor. Probes are falling. 5 probe kills already. And Shameless should overwhelm. He should just overwhelm from here. From this point. Oof. Nice control out of Jumy. Once again, boys being pulled. And the Mass Zealot just getting so much damage here. Jumy dropping to 8 probes. Down to 8. He will get a surround though. Does surround, more Zealots do trickle in. The control. The boys do help. Jumy pulling away. Up. Oh my god. Barely comes out on top. Whew. Just barely. Once again, going for the pylons. Another Zealot does arrive. Jumy, oh! Has to be so careful. Pulls back, losing 1 Zealot. Brutal loss. Every Zealot counts here, and Jumy, he's broke. He can barely afford 1 more Zealot. Alas, he gets surrounded immediately. Yeah, he gets surrounded. And this entire time, Shameless has had uncontested mining. You just keep producing. You just keep producing more Zealots. Can just outproduce. Once again, boys are being pulled. Pylon goes down, depowers everything. And Shameless has done it. He has done it at this point. Unless he makes a mistake, like there's no way for Jumy to really deal with this. Shameless takes down all the Zealots. There's 1 Zealot left. GG gets called and Shameless ties up the series. We're going to the ace match. GG. Going to the ace match. This is the PvP we knew and loved. A clown fiesta, papi. A clown fiesta. Oh my god. Unfortunately, it took a long time for Jumy to scout what was going on. Likewise, Jumy didn't really have the crispest response. Jumy, he was spending a lot of resources mining gas. The gas was not a factor whatsoever. And again, the defensive setup that you have as Protoss is lessened here in Wings of Liberty. No shield battery, no overcharge, no mothership core. So you don't really have a defender's advantage outside of pulling the boys, of course. Like that is the one thing that you have going your way. With that, GG. GG, well played. We are going to the ace match. And we'll see how this story ends. As we are figuring out what map is the final map of the series. Figuring that out. And there it is. Game 3 is going to be on Daybreak. Also, it looks like Mapu is casting Mixu versus Mixu series. Versus Geralt. Again, Daybreak being a 2-player spawn map. Here we go. And we'll see how the story ends. We'll see if Shameless will finally expand or will commit to one base play. Again, Shameless has yet to take an expansion, a base in this series, has yet to take a natural. Hasn't happened yet. Do we finally see it? Does it finally happen? As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Daybreak, we have the German Protoss player, the Blue Protoss. Whew, representing Streamer Zone, it is Jumy. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. Here we go. As we calm things down and settle in. Again, so far we've seen a lot of aggression between these two. Going one base Colossus. Going proxy 2 gates. Do we have another proxy in store? What else do we have? Show us what you got. As we're settling in, a big shout out to Protostegosaurus. God, baby God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gifted subs. We do appreciate it. Likewise, thank you so much for hosting the event as well. For those that are curious, what is the event? The Pigosaur Monday. I mean, kind of. This is a special edition, I suppose. But Stegosaurus, Protostegosaurus is a big part of that. He, of course, does help fund, sponsor, and support the tournament, even admins as well, making sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. So big shout out to Protostegosaurus. Thank you so much for the support, for all the passion you have for StarCraft, not just for this event, but Protostegosaurus also does actually help fund our tournaments at times. When it comes to at least its National Tussle, is very often boosting the prize pool as well. So thank you so much for all that you do, for the gifted subs, and for everything that you are in StarCraft. Thank you, thank you. Este Protostegosaurus. To Gauntlet Wizard above freezing, Genghis Khan, Hazabui, and Darth Nox. There you go. There you go. Thank you. As we are getting to our Gates Cybercore opener for both players. This time no proxy. This time no proxy out on the map. Jumy moving out with his scouts. And I would imagine that once again we're going to be opening up with a Robo. Robo-based openers seem to be the go-to in PvP. We saw this previously from Creature as well. In his PvP against Bomioja. As our players are setting up, Zealot will zone the probe away. And there's that second gate. Second gateway for Jumy, second gateway for Shameless, into a third gate. Okay. 3-gate setup. 3 gateways on one base. No robo yet. Robo's being zoned back. There it is, third gate for Jumy as well. We're keeping up. Did I say 3-gate opener? We have a 4th gateway on the way, so it's going to be a 1-base 4-gate setup here for Shameless. I would imagine 1-base 4-gate all in. No expansion. Jumy setting up for a proxy location. The probe is out. He will push. Yeah, there's the pylon. This time he cannot warp straight into the main, but the pylon is set. And both players are going to be committing. Now, because of the 4-gate setup, I believe Shameless does have a gate advantage. At least for now, they're wimmering each other. 4-gate versus 4-gate. Slightly faster for Shameless. Warp gate is done. There we go. Morphing in those warp gates. Has to be done manually. Here comes the first wave. Warping in 4 stalkers at a time. Jumy is looking to commit. And who catches who? Oh! Jumy shoots first. Jumy catching a stalker. Massive pickup. 1 stalker goes down. Shameless has the high ground. But 1 stalker does fall. Jumy setting up a second proxy location. Likewise, so is Shameless. Zealots are reinforcing. Let's catch the Zealot. Oh! Jumy pulling back. Both players can reinforce. Shameless, he can actually go straight into the main from here. And Jumy turns around. Yeah, he turns around, he races back home, wants to deal with that pylon. Shameless gaining map control. Robo follow-up here out of Jumy, gets a second gas geyser. Going into Robo, going into Immortals. Shameless breaks out, it does not get eyes on the pylon. Doesn't spot it. Shameless, he commits. Gets a supply block upon losing the pylon. Needs more pylons back at home. Jumy gonna be forced back to 1 base. Shameless at least finding another pylon as well. And the one base play continues. Now, with this Immortal, Jumy can break out as he's building up his Immortal count. Shameless just now getting his own Robo. Shameless is 1 step behind tech-wise. He's 1 step behind. Phase on the way. Once again, 1 base into Colossus. We saw this in game 1. And we're getting there again here in game 3. Here we go. So we're just gonna chill. I mean, like, Shameless cannot push up, and likewise, Jumy cannot push down. So we have to stare each other down here at this point. There's the bait for Shameless. Both players rushing into 1 base Colossus. And we're gonna stare each other down. Now, Jumy, he does have a force out on the map, true, because of the pylon. This pylon is allowing him to reinforce. And remember, there's no recall. Uh-oh. There's no recall. Shameless, he's racing back. And can he hold on? Can he buy time? Jumy trading with the Zealots. Uh-oh, Jumy about to get surrounded. Remember, there's no blink. No blink stalkers. Jumy has to get the hell out of here. Ooh, taking some hits, but we'll get away. Jumy will escape, but he alas breaks out of his contain, and the Colossus is soon to arrive. Observer confirms. Observer confirms everything. We have Extend Thermal Lance. Getting into those upgrades. Now, the initial Colossus timing could be a crucial one here for Jumy, but the problem is by the time the army gets across the map, there's already 1 Colossus for Shameless. So we're building up the Colossus count. Both players, do we expand? Do we get a natural base? I mean, again, pushing up these ramps is difficult. So we may just take a natural from here. It takes a while, but it could happen. Knocking down the rocks. There it is, Nexus for Shameless and Nexus for Jumy. We expand. We finally do expand. Again, in a mirror matchup like this, we have the same armies, essentially. We have similar supplies. So it's difficult to really commit to anything, especially upper ramp. So there's no way for Jumy to push in here. Vice versa as well. So we have to stare each other down and get another base. Oh, Shameless does actually push down to low ground. Does move in. Celeste try to buffer. Celeste getting a lot done. Breaking through the Stalkers. Yeah, the Stalkers are falling. Despite that, though, the Colossus good control. Here comes the Warp in. Jumy, he reinforces, shuts down the Zealots, and Jumy holds. Jumy does hold. Snipes the Observer. Shameless force back. Looking at the trades here, the Zealot count's actually quite close when it comes to the trades. Stalker as well. Very even trade between the players. Jumy did lose one Immortal, but just the one Immortal. Yo, going for a Colossus drop though. Colossus comes in. Up. Here retargets the mineral line. Getting a couple of probes. A couple of worker kills. Jumy getting caught out. Once again getting forced back. Losing a Stalker. Sentry as well. Jumy in a bit of trouble here. Does need to pull back. Oof. We'll lose another Stalker. Shameless does have the supply advantage. Doesn't keep pushing up the ramp though. And the power of the ramp. Jumy is going to hold. Both players falling back. And once again, we should be getting up to like 4 or 5 Colossus. Like without disruptors, like mass Colossus does make a lot of sense here in PvP. A counter to the Colossus is the disruptor. It can actually shut it down quite hard. But here in Wings of Liberty, you don't have to worry about that. Don't have to be concerned about any disruptors, so you can just mass up more and more Colossus. Don't stop. That's the 5th Colossus on the way? Yeah, 5th Colossus here for Jumy. Get up to 6. At a certain point, there is going to be diminishing returns, and I'd love to see a transition elsewhere. Spotlight Council's on the way to get into Blink. Both players stabilizing, and now we can soon take a 3rd. We can soon expand. Now from here, once we get into a 3rd base economy, I believe we should be able to afford a transition to Skytoss. But that's after we have a 3rd. Until then, more Colossus. We have, what, 5, soon to be 6. Soon to be 6 Colossus. Don't stop. Keep making more. And we're about to reach a point where I have never seen this many Colossus in a PvP before. It's never happened. But like here in Wings of Liberty, it makes sense. But at least in Legacy, like it's not viable. Alas, we just keep going. We have 6 versus 6. Let's go. 7th Colossus on the way. Can we get to 10? Can we get to 10 Colossus? Ah, no. Jumy reinforced with charge lots, which are gonna melt against the Colossi, by the way. But a way to spend his resources. 3rd base is now being taken. Blink on the way. I mean, we sometimes like bring up like this idea of like a Death Bull army, but that isn't really as applicable in SE2 anymore. Here in Wings, like this is the Death Bull. This is let's go. We get a warp into the main armies do clash. So far, Zelsay do try to tank some of those shots. Shameless kiting back to the high ground. When Jumy, he kind of pushed into this. He's gonna try though. He gets one. Gets one, takes out 2 Colossus, bleeds out his own. And Jumy, he should lose everything here as he is being overwhelmed. The extra Colossus for Shameless. He had one more. Breaks through. Cleans up the army. Zealot drop into the main. Getting how many probes? Ooh, not many. There's a Colossus to defend. Just make more Colossus. That's all you need. Oh, the Colossus. Zealot drop gets dealt with. And Jumy's behind. Jumy's in a rough position here. The problem being, of course, is that we only have 1 robot. We can only produce 1 Colossus at a time. And Shameless, he has never stopped making Colossus. Like, he's still making more. So Shameless should be able to maintain that lead. Should maintain that Colossus lead. And Jumy cannot recover from that. Cannot actually make a comparable army size. Not anymore. We have a 2nd robot for Shameless. He can soon make 2 Colossus at a time. Let's go. Jumy needs to pop off. He needs to pop off with this prism. He needs to do some kind of damage, some kind of economic damage. Buy time to recover, to rebuild. As the prism is outside of the main. Meanwhile, Shameless is getting up to 5 Colossus. 2nd robot is almost done. So can we get up to 10? We peaked at 7. We peaked at 7 Colossus before the fight. And right now we're getting Colossus number 6 again for Shameless. Did I say 6? There we go. Back up to 7. 7 Colossus. Jumy trying to reinforce with Archons, which can tank some shots. Archons are building up to reinforce. Again, this is where the soup does lie. Like, the supply is lying here. As Shameless does have the superior army. Nice warp it into the main. Shameless, he has to react. Eyes are Colossus, it's fine. Snipes the War Prism. War Prism goes down, Colossus in position. And Shameless, he should be able to defend. Yeah, very nice warp in, very nice control. Make sure Zelsay did not touch the Colossus. How many does he have? 7, soon to be. We're getting there. 9 Colossus. Can we get to 10 before the end of the game? Can we get to 10 Colossus? There is no answer. The answer to Colossus is more Colossus. Let's go. 2nd robot now for Jumy. I mean, again, the Archons will help, but as long as Shameless can kite back, he should be able to do it with the Archons. Should be able to. We'll see. I'm curious as to how many shots they can tank, because this could be a good way for Jumy to bounce back, is to potentially dive on this army, close the distance, and have his Archons pop off. Maybe a couple of Immortals? No. 0 Immortals. More Colossus. As we're getting up to 11 Colossus. Like, especially because of the limited range of Immortals, I don't see Immortals doing anything against this, to be honest. Because the problem with Immortals here is it eats into your Colossus count. Like it's honestly, this is a similar issue that Phoenix versus Phoenix has, where in Phoenix versus Phoenix you have to keep making Phoenixes and you can't stop, because if you stop you get overwhelmed by the superior Phoenix count of your opponent. It's similar here, where if your Robos are making Immortals then you're not making Colossus. That is why like the Archon support here I think is really good for Jumy, because it's a way for him to make use of his production and for allow himself to continue that Colossus count. But that's my biggest concern for Jumy. Regardless, losing that first fight was brutal, and that's a lot of Colossus. 11, soon to be 13 Colossus. Jumy now working towards Skytoss. I do think that Skytoss is a superior force if we can get into carrier production. The problem, of course, is that he needs time. He needs time for the fleet beacon, for the Stargates to come online. Shameless, I mean, both armies are about to max out. Here we go. Shameless, he will soon push. How many? 14 Colossus. Let's go. Fleet beacon's on the way. Without the fleet beacon, again, still no Skytoss. If Jumy is able to give it, if he's given enough time, then he can start making carriers. He needs more time. He's ready for a Zealot run by. We have +3. We have shield weapons, shield upgrades on the way, armor as well. Shameless does have the better upgrades, and here comes Shameless. He's moving in. As he moves in, there's that Zealot run by. Jumy getting ready. Remember, there is no recall, so damage can be done. Jumy, he's got the concave. Fleet beacon finishes. Zealots, I hit the third, the fourth even. Shameless force back. Ooh, going Mass Phoenix. Okay. Going Mass Phoenix, no carrier yet, but just massing up those Phoenixes. Kind of like a similar solution that for like Vikings in TvP, some anti-air. I wonder if Void Rays would be okay in this kind of scenario instead of Phoenixes. I mean, we haven't seen the Void Ray yet. Meanwhile, here we go. The laser show. The laser show is upon us. That's a lot of lasers, Pappy. The Archons, they melt. The Archons, they go down. And the Mass Colossus, it overwhelms. As Shameless, he just completely shuts down the army. The superior range, the Archons, they do nothing. And there's still so many Colossus left over. He's crazy now. Very limited anti-air, but there's some Stalkers to reinforce. There's still 13. One Colossus died. It was 14 Colossus. There's 13 left. And again, whether it would have been Immortal or Archon, like they just cannot deal with the range of this many Colossus. They get shut down from afar. Now down to 12 Colossus from 14. And now we can just reinforce with Mass Stalker. Just reinforce with Stalker. Shameless moving in. And the Phoenixes, they just tickle. They just tickle the army. Like the DPS output here of Phoenixes just doesn't really compare. Void Rays would do more damage, but because of the way that they charge up, it takes a long time for them to charge, of course. And yeah, Shameless, he just commits. He just commits in. Dives on forward, catches on the Colossus. And the Archons, they hit the supports. They shut down the Phoenixes. The Phoenixes, they do nothing. They do nothing. And GG gets called. Shameless, he will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the semifinals. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Shameless with 14 Colossus overwhelms. Again, what was crazy to me is that after the fight ended, he only lost one. He lost one Colossus after that big fight. That was insane. Let's go. As we are getting into our next game. Shameless saying he loves the Colossus. He loves it. Ah, no. Not like this. Beautiful. And with that, congratulations here to Shameless. Does advance on to the semifinals, and up next is going to be Shameless versus Dark in a ZVP. Let's go. As Dark has been patiently waiting.